Hello students, and welcome to the class of business studies. As you all know that in the first video we have started chapter 1. Now today again the same chapter we will continue with some different or other topics. The chapter was nature and purpose of business, if you could remember. So this is part second video of chapter 1. Now these are the contents which we are going to finish. I hope if you have seen the first video, you could able to understand basic things about the nature and purpose of business. That is why we are studying business studies. Okay. Now here in this video we will finish characteristics of business, classification of business activities into industries and commerce, then classification of industries and meaning of commerce till this. Okay. In the third video we will again finish some other topics. Now starting with characteristics of business. When we say business means something buying and selling of goods and services or exchange of goods and services with the purpose of earning profit is business. Of course you can remember this, you have to remember this, that we have studied this in the first video, that all those activities, economic activities which are done to earn profit can be called as business also. Business is also part of economic activities, business, profession, employment, all. Okay, now starting with characteristics of business, the first characteristics or features of business is it is an economic activity. When we say economic activities means all those activities which are done, all kind of activities which are done just to earn profit or gain, that is economic activities. So business is considered to be an economic activity because it is undertaken with the object of earning profit or money or livelihood, and not because of love, affection, sympathy or any emotional or psychological satisfaction. It is not done for the sake of that, because this is that will be considered into non-economic activities. Non-economic activities means activities which are done not for profit or not for gain, but for mental or psychological satisfaction. So this economic activity or business is not considered with any kind of feeling like love, affection, sympathy or any other sentimental reasons. This activity can be undertaken either at small or individual level. That means this activities means business. Business can be a small business, a large scale business. So it can vary with size, it can vary with the nature of business, it can be purchase and sale of any consumer product by a shopkeeper or large scale business or an entrepreneur who has started his business. Example, purchase and sale by cooperative society or company can also be considered in a large scale business. So it can be any kind of business, whether small business or a large business, but it is business. Why? Because it is done for earning profit, money or gain. So the first feature is that business is an economic activity. Now second feature is production or procurement of goods and services. Production means any kind of goods and services when it is produced, then it is production. When we say procurement means we are collecting, allocating all those resources for satisfying somebody's needs or for supplying somewhere. So before goods are offered to people for consumption, that means before the goods are prepared, they need to be produced, okay, somewhere. Then only it can be supplied to the consumer, it can be supplied to the market. Any kind of product, it must be produced or manufactured somewhere in an industry, factory or any kind of company, okay. Then only it can be supplied to the ultimate consumer. So when it is offered to people for consumption, this must be either produced, that means it must be produced somewhere, or procured by business enterprises. It is not so that all business enterprises are only engaged in production of goods and services. Sometimes they used to take some goods from some enterprises or some factories and then supplying it into the market. So every business enterprises either manufacture the goods, that means either they are engaged in manufacturing the goods. When we say manufacture means converting raw material into finished products or final products. Okay, so that is manufacturing. So either they are engaged in manufacturing the goods or it acquires, that means it collects them or gets them from producers, all those producers who are engaged in manufacturing the goods, to be further sold to consumers or users. That means if I am a kind of producer or a businessman, when I purchase certain goods from certain company and supply this to the ultimate consumers or the users, I am also engaged in business only. This is also business. So business can have manufacturing sector, or either if you are procuring goods from different producers and supplying it to the ultimate consumer. Goods may consist of consumable items. All those goods in which these manufacturing industries are engaged, these all are consumable items. That means which can be consumed, which can be used, of daily use, such as sugar, ghee, pen, notebook, etc. Okay, it can be consumer goods or it can be capital goods also, like machinery, furniture, equipments, tools which are used to produce consumer goods. So there are two kinds of goods, consumer and capital goods. All those goods which is available at your home, which is available, which is ready to use, that is consumer goods. And when we say capital goods, it is not something to consume. Capital goods like machinery, equipments, tools, electronic gadgets, these things are used to produce consumer goods. Okay, so difference between capital and consumer goods is, I think, now, or capital goods like machinery, furniture, etc. Services may include. Now when we say production of goods, production or procurement of goods and services, not only goods are produced but services are also produced. Of course, it is not produced in any industries, it is handled by certain companies or firms who are engaged in giving support services to industries or providing services to consumers, business firms or organizations in the form of transportation, banking, insurance, advertisement, packaging, and so many other kinds of tertiary sector, or so many other kind of service sector is there. So services of course are produced for the help to providing to the firms, to the consumers, to the traders, etc. So production or procurement of goods and services. Now the third is sale or exchange of goods and services. Exchange of goods and services between buyers and sellers. That means there must be two people for the exchange, that is buyers and sellers, or producers or consumers. So each and every business activity must have a sale, must have an exchange of goods and services. Directly or indirectly, business involves transfer or exchange of goods and services for certain value. That means directly, direct production or direct consumption is there. So directly or indirectly, the transfer or exchange should be there between producer and consumers, and in return of certain value or money. If goods are produced not for the purpose of sale but for self consumption, it is not at all business. Okay, so but if goods are produced for the purpose of selling it into the market, for supplying it into the market in return of certain value or money, cash money, then it is business. So it cannot be called as a business activity if it is produced or if it is made or manufactured for self consumption. If I am a businessman, I am producing certain goods for consumption of my family, for consumption of myself, then it is not at all a business. But if I am going to sell it into the market or supply it into the market to the ultimate consumer, in return I am getting money, okay, or income, or I am earning. So that is business. Like cooking food at home for the family is not a business, because you are doing this out of your self satisfaction, satisfying your family members, okay, for it is a non-economic activity. Whereas if you are cooking food and selling this food item in the restaurant or hotels, or you are serving it in a restaurant or hotel, then it is a business, an economic activity. So there must be sale or exchange of goods and services between seller and buyer. Now fourth is dealing in goods and services on a regular basis. Dealing means we need to involve ourselves. There must be a dealing, a transaction, an agreement between buyers and consumer, then only it is a business. So there must be a deal, an agreement. Business involves dealing in goods and services on a regular basis, and it must be on a regular basis. That means it is not so that once you have sold certain things and now that you are not engaged in that. So that is not a business. One single transaction of sale or purchase does not constitute business. That means it does not mean that you are engaged in business. If you are selling anything once, that is not a business. For example, if a person sells his motorbike, okay, his or her bike, it will not be considered a business. Like I have a bike and I wanted to sell that bike, okay, so that is not a business. But if I have opened a showroom, okay, if I have a showroom and from there if I am selling the bikes, or any vehicles, then it is called a business, okay, because I am doing this on regular basis. Now fifth characteristics is profit earning. That means there must be earning of profit, earning of money or gain in terms of business. Without profit motive or without profit earning, it cannot be called as a business. So one of the main purpose of business is to earn income by way of profit or gain. No business can survive without earning profit. That means if you have started a business and since 5 years or 4 years or 1 year, if you are not getting any profit, then you are running in losses, you are incurring losses. So there is no mean to continue the business. So there must be a profit earning motive for doing any business. That is why business makes all possible efforts to maximize profit. That means each and every businessman or trader is trying to maximize or increase its profit. Okay, and how he can do? By increasing the production, that is the volume of sales, the quantity of production he can increase, supply it into the market, and by trying to reduce his expenses. That is by increasing the production, more and more supply in the market, make it available to all the consumers, and by reducing or cutting off his expenses, he can actually maximize the profit. So far as this. Now sixth is uncertainty of return. Uncertainty, this particular word is always attached with all economic activities and with all kinds of business. Uncertainty means if you are facing certain loss, risk. Why? Because future is uncertain. We cannot predict that I will be only getting profit only in the business. So you can face certain losses, risk, or some kind of problems. And returns here means the return which you are getting when you start a business, and return is your profit, your income or gain. So uncertainty of return refers to the lack of knowledge relating to the amount of money that the business is going to earn in a given period. That means a businessman doesn't have any knowledge that whatever money he is going to invest in the business, he will get good amount of profit with that, because future is uncertain. He cannot predict that I will be getting profit or not. So this is something, a knowledge which a businessman is not having. Every businessman or every business invest money, that is capital. When you start a business, as a businessman, whatever money which you are investing, that is called as a capital. Okay. So the investment which he will do to run its activities, that is economic activities, with the object of earning profit, that is business. But it is not certain as to what amount of profit he will get. That means if he has invested more amount, it's not possible, or it cannot be predictable or certain that he will get that same amount of profit, okay, or more than that. So something which is unpredictable, and what amount of profit he will get, it's not certain. Also there is always a possibility of losses, and with that there is always a possibility, a possible factor that he can face certain losses also. If the customer rejects the product, customer does not like the product, it is not properly supplied in the market, or so many other problems can be. Okay, so he can incur certain losses or face certain losses in spite of the best efforts he put into the business. That means he has put good investment, used better machineries, has put certain efforts to improve the quality of the product, but still he is not getting any profit. So future which is uncertain. So there is always an uncertainty attached with the business. Now after finishing the characteristics, six characteristics which we have finished, now moving with the next topic, that is classification of business activities, that there are different kinds of business activities. Okay, now these business activities can be defined into or classified into industry and commerce. In industries, again you can see primary, secondary and tertiary industry there. Again there is some certain subdivision, certain classification. In commerce also it can be classified, again further classified into trade and auxiliaries to trade, and again they are classified into different and various activities. Now this is the chart. Now we are moving to all the topics one by one. Now as far as classification of business activities, all the business activities can be broadly classified into two, that is industry and commerce. Okay. Now first starting with industries. Industry, as we heard this word, industry means it is kind of a lookout of factory, okay, factory setup where we are converting the raw material into finished goods or final goods, which can be used with the with consumers. Okay. Now industry, it refers to economic activities which are connected with conversion, that means converting all the resources, raw material into useful goods or finished goods or final goods which can be used. Here all mechanical and technical appliances, that means in industries actually all kind of techniques are used, methodology of using the or doing the things, and machineries are there, machineries, equipments, tools, all these things are available there for the process of production, that is for converting the raw material into finished products. We need to have machineries, we need to have techniques for doing that. It includes activities which is relating to producing or processing of goods, that means actually the goods are produced, or actually we can say the goods are processed. When we say process means it is involving certain steps or certain process whereby we are converting the material, raw material which is in raw form to final or useful goods. So it can be processing of goods as well as breeding and raising of animals. Of course, not only production of goods but breeding and raising of animals. Breeding means reproduction of animals. Okay. So breeding and raising of animals are also included in the industries. Okay. The term industry is also used to mean group of firms, that means this same term can be used with some certain group of firms, that is companies producing similar or related goods. That means there can be many firms or many companies who are selling same kind of consumer goods, like various kinds of perfumes are available, cosmetic items are available, various kinds of consumer goods. Many companies are there who are engaged in producing the same kind of products. So all these are called as firms who are producing similar or related goods. For example, cotton textile industry, when we heard this, so all those industries who are engaged in converting the cotton to textile, to certain fabric or clothing. So all those industries who are engaged in textile work or cotton textile or clothing, those all are called as industries or cotton textile industries. So all those who are manufacturing using cottons to certain clothing or textile, they can be called as a cotton textile industry. Similarly, all those industries who are engaged in electronic gadgets, making electronic items or goods, so all those will be included in electronic industries. Some services are also considered as industries. Not only goods, as I said, it is production of goods and services. So always these services will be attached with goods. So services can be banking, transportation, packaging, insurance, communication. These are also considered in the form of services or industries, service industries or tertiary sector, which we can say. So industry may be broadly classified into three categories, that is primary, secondary and tertiary. The same industry we can classify again into three, that is okay. So first is primary industry. So there are three kinds of industry, as I said, the classification of industry: primary, secondary and tertiary. Now starting with primary, it includes all those activities which are connected with the extraction of natural resources and reproduction and development of living organism. Like in the previous slide I have said that not only production of goods but animals are also reared, animals, breeding of animals can also be done here, the living organism. So all those extraction of natural resources, extract means to take out, that is specially done in mining industries. So when we extract certain natural resources, okay, so that is also included in primary industries. And reproduction and development of living organisms. Living organisms mean cattle, okay, poultry farms, cattle rearing, all this where we are actually reproducing the animals as well as plants, which is done in nursery, okay. So all these are actually consisted in or constituted in primary industries. These industries can further be classified into again two categories. It can be extractive industries and genetic industries. When we say extractive means when we take out or bring out or extract certain natural resources from the environment. Extractive industries are those which involve extraction or drawing out products from natural resources such as minerals, okay, minerals from earth, fish from rivers and seas, timber, that is wood from forest, etc. Important extractive industries are lumbering, mining, fishing, farming, all these are included in extractive industries, whereby we are drawing out certain natural resources from the environment for using it to convert into certain consumer goods. Okay. Products of these industries can be directly used, that means product of all these industries can be either directly used or it is transformed into various other useful products in manufacturing industry. Say for example timber in lumbering industries, we are using this timber, either we are selling it directly or either we are transforming into various useful products. And what can be useful products? It can be many, table, chair, furnitures and so many other things, paper also. Okay. So we can transform this timber or wood to certain useful products in these industries, that is primary industries or extractive industries. Now second is genetic industries. These industries involve in the activities of rearing and breeding of living organisms. When we say rearing, that means we are keeping the cattle for the use of some dairy products like milk, we are taking milk from them, or for various other things, or reproducing, that is breeding of animals. So breeding of living organisms, that is birds, it can be animals and plants for their use in further reproduction. For example, the rearing and raising of cattle for milk, for dairy farms, poultry farms, nursery, growing fish in ponds which is called as pisciculture, okay, etc. are included in the genetic industries. So in primary we have two classification, that is extractive and genetic. Okay. Now moving ahead to second kind of industry, that is secondary industry. Okay, these are concerned with using the material which have already been extracted in the primary industry. That means first all the extraction part which is done in primary industry, then after that these goods are actually transferred to secondary industry for the further use under the primary industry. These industries includes or process such as raw materials to produce goods for final consumption. That means in secondary industry we are actually taking goods from primary industry whichever they have extracted and then converting this raw material into final products or finished products or useful goods in secondary industry. For example, in primary industry mining of an iron ore is done in primary industry. They have extracted iron ore in the mines, but the same iron ore is used or manufactured into steel. That means with certain process or it involves certain process, they have manufactured in secondary industry, they manufactured this iron ore into steel or convert it into steel in secondary industry. So there are two kinds of basically secondary industries. It is manufacturing industries. First, these industries are engaged in the process of conversion of raw material into finished or final goods. That is done in manufacturing industry, which is part of secondary industry. This industry is created form utility. That means it is creating form utility means it is changing the shape, size, the requirement or lookout of the product. Like iron ore, when it is converted into steel, it is creating form utility. By changing the form of raw material into finished product, they are further divided into four categories. That means this same manufacturing industry is again divided into four categories, that is analytical, synthetical, processing and assembling industry. Starting with analytical. Analytical means when raw materials are analyzed or separated into different elements to produce finished product. For example, if we take example of crude oil, which is actually analyzed, which is separated. Crude oil which we are taking from natural resources, it is separated and break down into various products. That is, various products could be possible by using the crude oil. We are separating it, analyzing it and making petrol, diesel, kerosene, gasoline, etc. are possible because of crude oil. So this is analytical industry where we are analyzing one product to make some different products. Like from crude oil we are making petrol, diesel, kerosene, gasoline, etc. Now second is synthetical industry. Synthetical means mixture of various products. When we mix various products to form or to make some other product, like it combines various ingredients to manufacture a new product, as in the case of cement or chemicals. cement industry, chemical industry and various other kinds of industries who are mixing various products to form one useful product. Okay. Now third is processing industry. As the name suggests, processing means it involves certain procedure, okay, certain process. It involves processing the raw materials through various stages. Through various stepwise stages, this product is processed and converted them into finished products, such as in the case of sugar and paper. From sugar cane, in the processing industries or in this kind of industries, we are processing that sugar cane juice into making sugar or jaggery. Okay. Paper industries. Now paper industries, here the timber industries are making this possible. So from there, paper industries collecting the timber or wood, then converting it into paper. So this is processing industry, whereby we can have an example of sugar and paper. Now last is assembling industry. It assembles various, assemble means to collect, to make for making certain things like computer, it is an assembled form. Okay, various electronic gadgets you can have, that is an assembled form. Okay. So it assembles various finished products, not raw material, various products who are already finished products to make a new product, as in the case of television, car, computer, laptop, etc. and various other electronic gadgets. So all these are done in assembling industries. So these are 4 kinds of industries of manufacturing. Now second kind of industry, secondary industry is, first we did manufacturing, in which 4 classification were there. Second is construction industry. As the name suggests, when we say construction, means to build or to construct something. So these kind of industries are basically engaged in construction of dams, bridges, roads and so many other things. Sometimes they can are engaged in tunnels, making tunnels and canals also. So engineering and architectural skills are an important part of these kind of construction industries. All those people or all those industries who are engaged in engineering and architectural skills, using those skills, they are actually in the construction industries. Now third kind of industry is tertiary industry. Tertiary of course means service sector. Okay. Those industries which are concerned with providing support services to primary and secondary sector. So these tertiary sectors is of very importance to primary and secondary sector, because primary and secondary sector are only producing goods, but tertiary sector, which is not producing goods but they are producing or giving services. So because of tertiary sector also, only the primary and secondary sector could be possible, or they can sell or they can supply the goods to the ultimate consumer. Like they are providing services to primary and secondary industry, as well as activities relating to trade. That means they are also engaged in activities something related to trade. These industries provide service facilities, and there are variety of services which tertiary sector is actually providing. It can be banking, transportation, okay, communication, packaging and so on. Now one by one we will go with each kind of services provided by it. Transport, it facilitates movement from of goods from one place to another. This is also part of tertiary sector. Second is banking, it provides a finance facility, that is credit facilities to various businessmen, because without money or without having capital or loan they cannot start the business. So this is also one of the facilities. Third is insurance, it provides the coverage from various kinds of risk. As a businessman, he is facing various kinds of risk of theft, fire, accident and so on. So insurance is actually providing them safety in terms of that. Then warehousing, that is storage, godowns. So it provides storage place for goods produced by primary and secondary sector. They can keep those goods in these warehouses safely, and whenever they require the goods they can bring it. Advertising, it provides information to consumers. That means as a consumer, I do not know that whether which kind of product is produced by the company. So it is helping me, that is advertisement is actually helping me to get the information related to that which kind of product is actually produced by the consumer or by so called company. So advertisement is providing the information to consumers. Now second is, as I said, that business classification of business activities, it is divided into 2, industry and commerce. The part of industry which we have finished. Now second is commerce. Commerce is a wide term. We can say that commerce is considered as the backbone of all the industrial activities. Commerce refers to all those activities which help directly or indirectly in the distribution of the goods to the ultimate consumer. That means it is actually helping in the distribution of goods and services to the ultimate consumers. So as consumers requires a thing, he can have it with the help of the commercial activities. Okay. So commerce includes two types of activities, that is trade and auxiliaries to trade, which we will discuss in the next video. Buying and selling of goods is called or termed as trade. But there are a lot of activities that are required to facilitate the purchase and sale of goods. That means there can be a lot of activities which is actually facilitating the purchase and sale of goods, and that is called as auxiliaries to trade. So these are called services or auxiliaries to trade and include transportation, banking, insurance, advertisement, packaging, etc. But there are certain hindrances, that is difficulties or problems which commerce is facing. Commerce provides a link between producers and consumer, that is it is providing actually a link between a producer and a consumer. When producer is manufacturing or producing goods, consumer do not know about that. So how consumer is getting the product? With the help of the commercial activities, that is through transportation, okay, or many other things. And consumers, it includes all those activities which are necessary for maintaining a free flow of goods and services. It is only commercial activities which is actually facilitating the free flow or supply of goods and services to the consumers in the market. Thus, commerce help in removing the various hindrances. So commerce is actually removing or eliminating the various hindrances, difficulties or problems of trade which is faced by the businessman. The hindrances may be in respect of person, place, time, risk, finance and information. So how commerce is helping the businessmen or the traders in removing all the problems in terms of person, place, time, finance and information. So first is hindrance of person may be removed by trade, that is by making goods available to the consumers from the producers. It is commercial activities, that is transportation. Through transportation it is possible to transfer the goods from the place of production to the place of consumption, that is from producer to consumer. If the goods are supplied, it is because of commerce. So it is removing, commerce is removing the hindrance of person. Then the hindrance of place, that is the problems which is faced by the businessman or trader in terms of place, can be removed by transportation, that is by moving goods from one place to another. Now the hindrance of time, it can be removed through the storage, godowns or warehouses. That is warehouses or godowns, some goods are produced in a particular season, but their demand carries on or throughout the year, like wheat, rice, pulses and various other kind of consumer goods, and its demand continues to move or continues to grow for the whole year or throughout the year. But some goods which are produced in a particular season, but their demands rest throughout the year. So there is a time gap between the season of production and the time of demand. So there is a time gap between the production and consumption. The goods need to be kept fresh and safe. So warehouses actually helps the trade or businessmen to provide protection during these time gap. So during this time gap, when the demand raised, during that time, production to consumption, the goods can be kept safely in the storage and warehouses. Then the hindrance of risk, it can be, risk means in terms of loss which is faced in the form of money or any kind of loss which is faced by businessmen. This loss can be removed by insurance. Goods held in stock as well as goods in course of transportation are subject to the risk of loss or damage. That means the goods which are actually through transporting system, it is supplied to the market. During that time, he can face certain fire, accident, theft or any other kind of problem he can face, and the goods can be destroyed, can be spoiled. So protection against these risks is provided by the insurance company, by the insurance of the goods. Then the hindrance of finance, that is the money or the capital which is required by the businessman, without which a businessman cannot start a business. So this problem of finance can be removed by banking sector, by banks. Capital required to undertaken the above all activities or provided by banking and financial institutions. So, through banking and financial institution, a businessman can make available the capital or money and can invest in the business and can start it. Okay. Now, the hindrance of information. Information means information related to which kind of product is produced. Okay. So, just like we are watching in television, then only we come to know that this, by seeing that particular ad, we come to know that this kind of new product which will be available very soon in the market. It is his features and what is the importance of that product to us. So, it can be removed by advertisement, that is through advertisement only, or advertising makes it possible for producers and traders to inform the consumer about the product which they are, variety of product or any one product which they are producing. So, it is helped by the advertisement only, that is advertisement helps the producers to give or provide the information about their product to the ultimate consumers. Now, dear students, here we have finished our this portion. Now, in the third video we will start with the further leftover portions. Okay, till then keep learning. Goodbye and thank you.